Jungle Cruise is out in theaters now. It is also on Disney Plus with that premiere access where you have to pay $30. This stars Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt and is based on Disneyland's theme park ride where a small riverboat takes a group of travelers through a jungle filled with dangerous animals and reptiles. But this has a supernatural element, and Emily Blunt plays Lily Houghton, trying to find the Tree of Life to make a breakthrough in modern medicine, and she enlists a cruise ship skipper named Frank to take her there, and they encounter all these supernatural elements. And here we go, another big action adventure film from Disney, and another $200 million movie that's probably not going to make the money it needs to have a sequel. Now, there's no doubt that since the success of Pirates of the Caribbean, Disney has been trying to replicate that success by creating more action-adventure movies that could potentially lead to franchises. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time was one of them. That's actually probably my favorite non-franchise starter from Disney. I think that that's a really fun film. That's the one that had the most potential, I think. You also have John Carter, which fell flat on its face, The Lone Ranger, which also fell flat on its face, and now we are greeted with Jungle Cruise. So Jungle Cruise is the next attempt for Disney to try and make the next Pirates of the Caribbean. Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt look like they're having a lot of fun in this movie. Everybody involved looks like they're having a lot of fun. I really enjoyed their characters. I really liked their characters. The one-liners thrown out by Dwayne Johnson were really, really funny and interesting. I thought I had heard a lot about that going into the movie, and I thought that that was actually going to be a detriment to the movie, but it wasn't. They actually really worked, and they were actually really funny. With a movie like this, I went with my brother. Sometimes with like Disney movies like this, or movies that are geared more towards kids and adults, they have that humor that is geared more towards kids rather than adults. So when I saw my brother actually laughing at quite a few scenes and quite a few lines, I was actually really happy, and that meant that he was really enjoying the movie itself. And a lot of that had to do with the humor and the playful banter between Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson's characters, and I really like their characters. Emily Blunt's character, Emily Houghton, I thought that she was a really cunning character. I really like the fact that she would get herself into trouble, yet attempt to get herself out of trouble. I like that she was determined and that nothing was going to stand in her way of achieving this dream of getting to the Tree of Life. Jesse Plemons plays this like really over-the-top Nazi. Works for the movie. I loved every single second he was on screen. I thought that he went over the top, but over the top in the most appropriate and correct way that you're supposed to go over the top. The action was really fun. It wasn't like crazy intense action. It was more of like that fun, whimsical action. Like there's an action scene in a port and a harbor that I thought was really entertaining. There's an action sequence in the finale that to me didn't have the oomph that I feel like that it needed to end the movie on. However, it was still a really, really entertaining action sequence, and I like that each action sequence was attempting to do something different. Maybe something that we haven't seen in a Disney movie before. Although with that being said, this movie does borrow a lot of elements from previous Disney movies like Pirates of the Caribbean. There's this supernatural element with this band of explorers that have become part of the jungle, and they're like undead explorers. That's ripped straight from Pirates of the Caribbean. That idea itself didn't feel as fresh to me as I think that they thought it did. It didn't remind me of Barbossa's undead pirate crew in Curse of the Black Pearl. It reminded me more of Salazar's pirate crew in Dead Men Tell No Tales. And I think that was mostly because of the visual aesthetic of how they looked and the direction that they actually took those characters. Like, there's literally something where they say, this undead crew of explorers can't do this. And I said, that is ripped straight from Pirates of the Caribbean 5. There's also elements with Dwayne Johnson's character that I didn't necessarily like. I didn't hate it, but I just felt it wasn't necessary to his character, and it made his character less believable, even though I really do like his character in this movie. There's also some weird choices music-wise to open up the movie, and in this sequence where they're giving a huge exposition dump as to who Dwayne Johnson's character actually is, you have a musical rendition of Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. It was really strange to start off the movie like that and then have it play in this scene again. Not that it necessarily doesn't fit. The musical rendition of it does have an adventure feel to it. It's just, it was something that was distracting, I guess. It was the piece of music in the movie that stood out the most to me. Because it stood out the most, and because it was a musical rendition of Nothing Else Matters, I just wanted to start singing, and nothing else matters, never care for what they do. So it was like I was watching a music video of a musical rendition of Nothing Else Matters for like 5 minutes. And that's why it felt distracting for me. But I will say that the musical score by James Newton Howard was one of my favorite musical scores in a Disney adventure film other than Pirates of the Caribbean. This had the feel of a John Williams or Alan Silvestri score, which I thought Alan Silvestri actually did the score for this, and he didn't. It was James Newton Howard. Reminded me of like old school John Williams scores, and my brother made the instant comparison to Hook. And I gotta agree with that, because it has this whimsical adventure feel that Hook did, and it just reminded me of a lot of those types of scores, and it felt like it was fitting for this type of movie. This movie for me, and I think for a lot of people, was a lot of fun. Whether or not it's gonna get a sequel depends on its box office and how it does on Disney+, but honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel. I just don't really understand where they could go. If they're going to make a sequel, I wouldn't mind seeing it. I mean, I enjoyed myself for 2 hours. There's going to be people that are going to complain that, oh, this should have been shorter than 2 hours and 7 minutes or something. It was fine. Runtime didn't bother me. It went by at a good brisk pace. This movie was constantly moving. But I also do have to say that there is some shots of some shoddy CGI, particularly a lion cat, and some scenes of a backdrop where the cruise ship is actually against the backdrop. You can tell that they're on a giant green screen or on a giant sound stage, and for a movie that cost $200 million to make, it wasn't really touched up all that much, but still, this is a very enjoyable, family-friendly adventure film that is in the spirit of Pirates of the Caribbean, Uncharted, Indiana Jones. Is a lot of fun. It's really funny. I like the characters. The action's really good. Just a few elements here and there that I didn't really like. I don't really agree with the critics on this one. It's got a 50 out of 100 on Metacritic. I have no idea why. But I'm going to say you will really enjoy Jungle Cruise with 3/4 worth of a bucket of popcorn. So guys, what did you think of Jungle Cruise? Have you seen it? Drop me some feedback in the comment section below. I will leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.